A quick disclaimer before we begin. The PEMF podcast does not contain any medical advice, and the content provided is for informational purposes only. If you have any health concerns, please visit a healthcare professional. Welcome back to another episode of the PEMF podcast. Today's guest really needs no introduction in the biohacking world, better known as Europe's leading biohacker, the health community guy, and the founder of Health Optimisation Summit. And the voice on Instagram always showing us what's toxic to our health and ultimately what to avoid. Tim Gray, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. For those listening that don't or never heard of Tim Gray, who is Tim Gray? Can you give us a little bit of intro and what led you to be Europe's leading biohacker?
I got ill back in 2012. And this is before influencers were a thing, before there was all this functional medicine, before the DNA tests were out, before the microbiome tests were even a thing properly. And the doctors basically said they didn't know what was wrong with me. I had kidney stones, UTIs, prostate infections, crazy different things going on, viral issues. My body was just felt like it was faulty in so many different ways. And the doctors just shrugged their shoulders and said, we can't help you. And I was like, I've always been a pretty busy business guy, entrepreneur, had multiple 7-figure companies. If I wanted to do something, I'd make it happen. And then when the doctor told me, can't find anything wrong, I was like, all right, enough's enough. Like, this guy just doesn't have a clue. And he was, probably 65 years old, trained 40 years ago from medicine that was 15 or 20 years before that, whatever. And just didn't really have a clue. So I just started studying and going on Cure Zone and, all the different forums and figuring out what was actually going on. And I did that for a few years until I'd heard about bulletproof coffee, which was about 2014, 15. And I heard that there was a thing such as a biohacker. I was like, actually, I'm one of those. And started becoming a little bit more, linked into the community with it. Back then it was Bulletproof Coffee and Dave Asprey's stuff, which was great because that was the beginning of biohacking, really. And then when I went to US one day for the biohacking conference, I saw there was a huge community of loads of vibrant people, all optimizing, doing all the crazy shit that I'd been doing for years. And I was like, I want that in London. So I started the little meetup of 50 people, which now has grown to, this year, 4,250 people in London. And we had 2,600 people in Austin, Texas back in April. So it's kind of been an interesting journey, but just really optimizing. But I think the biggest thing in all of this is that when I was in my 20s and early 30s, I thought I was healthy. Because I had a traditional life. I'd eat the normal pret-a-manger sandwich for lunch, from the sandwich van. I'd do all the stuff that everyone did, thinking, salad sandwich or a Pret or Subway was healthy because it's salad and meat, right? And yet I was absolutely screwed. And then when I got to a level of peak performance, I would say, and I still deal with some issues. I mean, this is one thing that I'm still trying to figure out, for instance, but it's like, actually, I was operating like 60, 65% for years and years. And then when I realized, actually, I can feel this much better and have this much spare energy, then I spent the next 10 years optimizing to always be in the best state I can be in.
Yeah. And anyone that listens to the podcasts, regularly, they'll understand actually that our story is quite similar. Same sort of experience with the NHS and, listening to one of your podcasts before, you were saying you got to know a receptionist on first name basis, all that sort of thing. I was the same. I was going into the doctor's clinic when I was 25, burning candle at both ends, hit rock bottom. I had an operation and it just wouldn't heal. It was continuously getting infected. And I kept getting the same story. I was there every day and the doctor's looking at you thinking, why are you here again? And they're frustrated and they're angry that you're sitting in their office again. And they give you that answer. There's nothing wrong with you. The amount of times I heard, there's nothing wrong with you was so frustrating. I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to be here. I would rather be, I was jet setting. I was, doing sales, all this sort of thing. And all of a sudden, my health's in the pan, my headspace is in the pan, and I'm at the doctor's clinic constantly. Why do you think they don't prescribe biohacking? Not so much biohacking, but why do they give the answer, there's nothing you can do?
Well, if you think about it for a second, I don't think they have any bad intentions here. They don't.
Yeah.
Emphasis on they. If you think about it, say you go through all your training, you come out the other end a doctor, and you go in because you know you're going to earn some good money and you're going to help some people, right? Great. But what happens if every single Tom, Dick, and Harry comes to your clinic and tells you, hey, you should try this new therapy, or you should try this new therapy, or you should try this new therapy, or this new therapy? What's the baseline? Who sets the standard? And it's like, you have to be open to things progressing, but also not open to things that might not work. And that's a very tough thing. This is why I think further education is so important for doctors, obviously. And why in the UK, they like doctors to still practice in the NHS, even if they work privately, and clock up the hours, obviously, and further training. So I think most of the doctors are in the mindset to be able to do so. But I think they have a risk of losing their medical license if they start telling people to do stuff that isn't in the syllabus or in their medical training. However, where this changes is now with functional medicine. For instance, look at Jeffrey Bland or Mark Hyman or Rangan Chatterjee or these guys. They're functional medicine doctors. And so they're a doctor with additional training on top. Now, the funny thing is on Quack Zone or Quack Watch or whatever it's called, and on social medias, you hear people call Mark Hyman and, Rangan and Jeffrey a quack. They don't know medicine. But in fact, they've studied medicine and more. So these doctors that are saying they don't, they're quack, don't get it. And they're probably the closed-minded ones. Whereas the other thing is when there's a financial incentive to improve your knowledge, people shift. For instance, I've noticed in the last year, there's a longevity gold rush. As soon as people know there's a gold rush on longevity, everyone starts jumping into the space because they're like, oh, I can make more money. And it's the same with a lot of biological dentists, for instance, okay? Give you an example. My friend, Dr. Dom, biological dentist, runs the training for normal dentists to become biological dentists. He's very mission-led. He wants to change the world. He wants everyone to not have to go through the crap that, the last 50 years have done with mercury and things like that. There's a lot of people jumping on the biological dentistry without doing certification, saying that they're biological dentists, not understanding biological dentistry because they know they can bill more, which is a money thing, not an integrity thing. So to answer your question, money drives innovation. And if someone has a medical license that can be revoked, meaning that they can't then pay their bills because they lose their medical license, they're going to keep quiet. Until there's something else. And that's what's happening with functional medicine. And, actually I'm giving a talk at the summit with Rangan Chatterjee, kind of in the mindset of what does medicine say? What does biohacking say? And then, seeing where they match and where there's differences, which is going to be a really interesting talk, I think. So I think partly down to fear of losing their license, of talking about things that they can't prove are correct yet. And partly because the training syllabus is run or put together by the medical companies that want them to push pharmaceuticals, which is why you can never get prescribed sunlight, grounding, clean water, but no, have a med, So that's what I think. And I don't think there's bad intentions anywhere, to be honest. I think it's paying the bills and
yeah. And that's the risk, is that there seems to be this kind of medical versus alternative biohacking, and it's not that. It's kind of coming together and making it functional, like you say.
I mean, I would say one thing here is that if natural medicine worked, we wouldn't have the problems we have. Okay. If medicine worked, we wouldn't have the need for alternative medicines. So therefore they go hand in hand, right? It's like one doesn't work on its own, the other doesn't work on its own. And it shouldn't be us versus them. It should be, hey, what do we use here appropriately? However, when you think about it, modern medicine doesn't cure any diseases. It manages symptoms. natural care typically cures things. So they go hand in hand. The only thing is, and I remember seeing a management consultant's firm slide deck from a talk that they gave saying, do healthy patients equal clients? If you just think about that for a second, kind of tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah. Just making a financial incentive maybe is the route. But biohacking and alternative health and that sort of thing, it does get a bit of bad press when it comes to looking like woo-woo. You just mentioned about Mark Hyman and, people thinking he's quack. How do we change that narrative? We had a conversation with Professor Green on this podcast, UK rapper, and he's trying to make tree hugging cool, because tree hugging used to be seen, still is seen as kind of, the hippie sport. But actually what we're doing when we're hugging trees, we're grounding. And, there's actually evidence that something is happening there now. So how can we make tree hugging cool, Tim? How can we make it mainstream?
He's such a character. He's a good dude. If you want to make it sound hippie and the professionals not listen, you call it tree hugging. I think the way that I like to approach it is understanding what the body needs to operate correctly. And Gary Brecker talks about this very well as well. What's the body have a deficiency in? Or what does the body have a toxicity in? That's it. You figure out what needs to come out and you figure out what needs to go in. And when you look on a cellular level, it's pretty much this. Grounding is to fill a deficiency of electrons, which rebalances the electrical system of the body. And there's actually 25 studies, including peer-reviewed studies on grounding now. So if you say something like that to a medical professional, they listen.
Yeah.
Whereas if you say you're going to hug a tree because it's good for you, there's a level of. So I think you can appeal to multiple different types of people. However, I think the people what you call it tree hugging to, for instance, that not the professionals, the professionals. I would say probably the hippies or more hippie style. They're already doing it.
Yeah.
Because they know they feel good for it. Or the yogis doing yoga in the park without the mats because they know that they feel good for some reason.
Yeah. And biohacking falls into that space a little bit. When people mention biohacking, again, it kind of gets a bit woo-woo response. Would we say that we're trying to change the narrative on that now? Should we be calling it more health optimization, like I know you like to refer to it, or functional medicine? Is that a better way to coin it?
Functional medicine still has medicine in the title. It's just functional. I like integrative medicine. I like this as a label, actually more than functional. Integrative as in like completely integral and integral. I don't think biohacking is classed as woo so much. I think there's a lot of snake oil salesmen in it, and there's certain biohackers that talk about or promote just about anything under the sun, whether they use it or not. And there's been a lot of pushback for that, and I think it gives it a bad name. I am Tim Biohacker, obviously, as a label, because I'm into biohacking, which is a systems thinking approach to optimizing your health. Biohacking can also be a chip implant or whatever. But I think when you have the goal of health optimization in mind, well, it's the goal in the name. For instance, back in 2018, I did a survey on Oxford Street. I've said this so many times, it's actually quite hilarious. I don't know whether anyone's heard it before when I say it, and we surveyed people on Oxford Street and asked them if they wanted to biohack themselves. Less than 0.1% of people knew what it meant. When we said, do you want to optimize your health? 94% of people said yes in some form. 5% of people said I loved one. 1% of people are just busy London people in their lunch break, push you out of the way, usual stuff. So that showed me that there was a 99% need versus a less than 0.1% of understanding. Health optimization can't be classed as woo-woo. It can't be because it's a thing. And that's so when I created the summit, in fact, it was strategic because I wanted to do what it said on the tin, as we have in the UK as a saying. So I like the term health optimization, and I'm quite emotionally attached to it for obvious reasons. But my background is marketing and psychology. And that's really, for 20 years of my life in direct to consumer ethical marketing using psychology is in terms of clear communication and writing value propositions and creating brand names was my bread and butter for many years. So when I did the Health Optimization Summit, it's like, you never need to go, what's that about then? Never once have I ever. Whereas if you say a biohacking conference, what do they say? Like, oh, what's that about?
Yeah. No, makes sense. A lot of your content is focused around gut health. So I wanted to kind of drill into that and find out why that is. Is that a personal reason for that? Or is it just that you feel that that is where the center of the issues begin in the body?
I mean, I would say about 10 to 15% of my content is probably on gut health, to be precise. For me, it was a big, important topic. It's actually something still ongoing for me that I work on. But I think also people stick so much stuff in their gobs. In fact, I saw a reel the other day of a TV show where a woman who was obese was asked to put her food in a clear plastic tube instead of in her mouth. And she was fasting or whatever. And you could see all of the food going into this tube, and like in a glass of milk. Okay, I'd normally have a glass of milk now, and you put it in, and you just see how much stuff she put through her body on a daily basis goes into the gut. And a lot of it can't process because it's unnatural stuff, processed foods, blah, blah, blah. And yet we think once it's in our mouth, that's it, it's fine. He's like, oh yeah, just stick it in, it'll be fine. So there's one thing as the center of gut, which determines how many nutrients we get into our bodies. Obviously the mouth is the entrance to the gut, actually. So the health starts in your mouth. And the oral microbiome you have helps determine so many things for your overall health, including, your nitric oxide production and, which then is blood flow, all ties in together. So I think if you think about optimizing your gut, caring about your gut more, and you have the right microbiome, the right balance, then I think a lot of the things fix. Also, you only have to walk down the street in any city other than Poland, strangely, because they didn't really seem to have this as a problem. Everyone has a belly. Nearly everyone has a belly. I think, what was it? Chris Williamson said the other day on a podcast, I think it's more rare to see someone that can bench press 300 kilos than it is to see, for someone worth 10 million or something crazy like that. And it's like, and the amount of, so for instance, and also I think it was Sadia Khan or one of the dating coaches said the other week as well, if you're looking for a guy that's in the top 1%, that's much more likely than finding a guy with a six pack. So finding a guy with a six pack and is worth 10 million, ladies, you're dreaming. Literally there's nothing. My point is that you just have to look at people's guts everywhere you go to see that they're either bloated or extra belly fat. And most people are actually bloated. So I think it's important that we understand that the gut health needs to be optimal. And I think everyone should really do a stool test just to see, what their microbiome is like. It wouldn't be a problem if we weren't drinking tap water, which is chlorinated, or swimming in chlorinated swimming pools, or having antibiotics when we get an infection, or, one of so many different things that actually kills our microbiome off. And yet it's completely fundamental for our health. So that's why I angle a lot of the content around that. There was actually, I did a piece recently, got a bit of pushback strangely, but is around IM8. I don't know if you know IM8, the David Beckham brand. They sent me this stuff like 8 months ago before it came out and said, we want your opinion on it. And I was like, straight away, I was like, no, I'm not going to I like David Beckham as a character, but I don't know if he knows much about health. I said, no. They came back and said, look, we really want you to dig into it. So I did. And I said, okay, tell me about this. And they came back, and it was such a good medical board, or the panel for actually creating the product. I was very impressed. So I did some content on it. I think it was about 10 days ago, that was about how it helps fix gut health because of the methylated vitamins in it and the nutrients and the aminos. And people are like, oh, this can't help fix your gut. It's like, well, actually, it's pretty good. I think, you need to do it long term. But But then you've got on top of that, like gut health isn't just about your microbiome or fixing the gut lining with two of those things. It's also about liver health.
Yeah.
And, that's one area I think that everyone should optimize. You see women with acne down on their faces here, or hormone imbalances, or bloated, and they can't fit in the dress properly, or their cycle is off. It's nearly always gut and liver. And the thing is the more stress the gut gets from antibiotics, or actually if you're eating sushi a lot, which are riddled with parasites, like literally really bad, really bad.
I've heard you say that before.
We evolved with fire for a reason, and that's an ancient thing that we still have, which is ridiculous. Point is parasites and poor gut balance means the liver has to process all of that, which means the liver gets stressed, which means you get body odor, which means you get fat, which means you get fatigue, all of these things. And then your cycle goes off if you're a woman because the liver's struggling because the gut's not right. So how do you intervene? So I would say it's a fundamental part of the overall unit of the body.
Yeah. The same thing with me, when I was going to the doctor's office, continuously just giving new antibiotics. Not once in a 6-month period was I ever mentioned to change my diet. Or here's a little list of some healthy things that helps with gut microbiome.
Why do you think that was?
That was my question to you.
Why do you think that? I want to see why do you think that is?
I mean, this is the issue. It is completely overlooked in the NHS. And again, is it down to red tape? Is it down to, maybe it's because they can't make money from it.
They just don't. They're just not taught. They're just not taught. But I think that's where functional medicine training is coming in quite well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nutritionists out there, which, when someone says I'm a nutritionist or whatever, most of the time I roll my eyes because when I look at their content, they're saying, don't worry, you can eat whatever you want, just half the calories. I'm a nutritionist. I know what I'm talking about. What credentials have you got, Tim? It's like, well, actually 14 years of experience of seeing what actually works. How long was your nutritional training course? How many weekends was that? It was 2 or 3. The point is, qualifications are a heuristic for someone knowing what they're doing. The problem is the world's become so stupid that they go, well, what are your qualifications? Well, actually, no, I have all the experience. I don't have the qualifications. But it was a heuristic. And I know when for instance, a billionaire friend's health goes wrong, who do they pick up the phone to? Not their doctor, not the one with the qualifications. Who fixes it? Who couldn't fix it? It's pretty indicative of the way, and I'm not saying I shouldn't have qualifications. No, not at all. But I think it's the keen mind of what works.
Yeah.
And so I think doctors aren't in the mindset of what works. They're like, how can we get them out quick enough? How can we give them the right drug so we can fill the amount of prescriptions on whatever it is?
Yeah. And the gut-brain axis is something I've seen on your content. Linked to gut health, mental health. The link there, how does that work? And do you think that if people change a diet, it's going to have a direct impact on their mental health?
I love that you're asking me a question that you know the answer to. I read a book called Psychobiotics quite a few years ago now, which is fantastic. And, obviously I've read a lot on the subject and tested things myself. For instance, a lot of people that get anxiety have it after certain foods, one of which can be monosodium glutamate. Okay. I don't know why I said that funny. Monosodium glutamate. Why, for instance, monosodium glutamate? We have glutamate receptors. Okay, I think it's about 94% of our neurotransmitters are actually glutamate based. And then we've got serotonin, which is like 5% of our happy. Okay, so there's a whole load of neurotransmitters. The majority is based around glutamate, I believe. Monosodium glutamate. So if you just think about that for a second, what are they giving you? They're giving you basically a neurotransmitter in your food, which tricks our senses into thinking that something tastes good when it doesn't. Just thinking about that. So, and a lot of people, for instance, with bipolar disease or anxiety attacks or whatever it may be, have a neurotransmitter imbalance. Where do neurotransmitters come from?
Their food.
Exactly. So if your microbiome is off balance, say for instance, let's just say for a second, you have 10 different bacteria strains in your gut, just 10. And those 10 different strains do 10 different things or break down 10 different things in the food and extract certain nutrients from them. What happens if it extracts, because you're missing 7, it's only extracting the nutrients for 3, and you're only getting partial neurotransmitters? And then you eat another food later on, which helps another part of your microbiome, and it fuels another one. You're going to be up and down. Whereas when it's well balanced, you don't have that issue so much. And I think, like, for instance, example, ex-girlfriend of mine was vegan, bless her. Mm-hmm. And she was always flat. She was always not vibrant, happy, but not vibrant. And then one day I gave her some aminos, branched chain and essential aminos together. She came alive. Her neurotransmitters were singing. I was like, wow, she's a completely different human. I mean, in terms of vibe and energy. Why? Because her plant-based diet for her, I'm not saying it doesn't work for everyone, wasn't giving her the nutrients she needed for her neurotransmitters to work as they should do. So yeah, the gut-brain axis, that we're one body, we're one thing.
Yeah.
You know, what we put in our mouth ends up in our gut. What goes in our gut ends up how we feel. And you'll know it if you have a Burger King or McDonald's or whatever it may be, you know it. Half an hour to an hour later, you just feel groggy and horrible.
Not just the food regret, is it? It's whatever.
But the taste is bloody fantastic, right?
Yeah.
And we're that stupid. If you put that in front of a dog, it will not eat it. Mm-hmm. In fact, you put most foods in front of a dog, and if it doesn't think it needs it, it won't eat it. Their intuition is strong, but we're so smart, we're stupid.
Couple of tips, gut improvement. Have you got any? So talking about what we've just been talking about, do you have a couple of simple hacks that you can give the audience to improve their gut health?
The number one thing I would recommend to fix your gut would be Swedish digestive bitters. So very quickly, is the food that we eat prepares our body to prepare the digestive juices to break down our food. So this is why preparing food has always been traditional. Like, for instance, preparing your food, your senses are getting ready to it. You're smelling it, you're touching it. Whereas now we just get a plate put in front of us and say, eat it. Our body's not prepared, which is why some people sit there and bless their food. My friend Akira does this over every meal. So Swedish digestive bitters basically are very bitter drops that you put in your mouth. And it tells your digestive system, you've got some food here to digest coming up. So it prepares your liver and your gallbladder to digest properly. Now, why is this important? From our liver, we produce bile. It goes into our gallbladder, which stores it up. And then when we eat something with fatty food in it, the gallbladder goes like this, squeezes out bile, which is a bit like washing up liquid. Okay. It makes your poop slippery and makes it slide through, and what makes it brown and darker. So for instance, if you're on the yellow side and more looser, then you're not having enough bile often. And if you have higher body odor, often lower bile or stressed liver as a result. So the bitters help upregulate bile production, bile salts. If you're dehydrated also, your liver will not be producing enough bile salts. So you can supplement with ox bile capsules, which are amazing. So if you're ever on the constipated side, best thing you can ever do. Best thing ever. If you're on the looser side, you might be a little bit explosive. So I'd probably go very carefully because it goes sideways. But digestive bitters is just a very gentle way of waking the liver up to say, hey, you got to start working here. I find that's number one hack of all. And in fact, I do it 3, 4, 5 times a day.
Cool.
Another thing I'd recommend is, depending on your, how good your food is, masszymes from Biooptimizers, which are digestive enzymes you take with your food that help break down. And in fact, I think it was Wade Lightheart, the founder, that said that you can actually get up to 4 or 5 times as much protein from the same food by taking the enzymes with it.
Oh, wow.
And in fact, I tested this once. So I had a surgery 3, 4 years ago, and they cut out a vein, and I had a metal implant in it, basically. And I said to them, "Oh, can I keep the coil?" And they said, "No, because you wouldn't be able to get the vein off of it." So anyway, I kept it in the thing, took it home, put some Biooptimizers digestive enzymes in it, left them overnight, and it dissolved all of the vein off of the coil, and then I got the perfectly clean coil. The point is, I see that they work firsthand, and then I've dosed it up to like 150 capsules a day to test to see how good it works. And it works very well. So digestive bitters and digestive enzymes. If and I mentioned IMA earlier on, and this isn't a plug. They're not, paying me to say this, but I think if you are working on your gut and leaky gut, something like IMA that has the right nutrients in there to help repair your gut is a great move. It also tastes good and gets you the activated vitamins and minerals you need in the morning to help you wake you up. One other thing I'd probably recommend would be something like copper peptides or BPC 157 or TB 500, which are, the Level Up Health, which is LVLUP Health. They do capsules so you don't have to inject yourself and look like a crazy druggie, which obviously goes in via the gut, which they have a Wolverine stack these days, which helps you heal very quickly. And I've used them on and off for a long time after my tonsil surgery, after various surgeries. And that helps repair leaky gut very, very, very well. Yeah. So yeah, those would be my 3 Tim's top tips for the gut.
And I like the fact that you mentioned some of these brands, but a lot of them you don't affiliate for or benefit from in any way. So it kind of does come across a lot more genuine. I know you've opened packages from people that have sent you tech as well that you've kind of opened and gone, no, not going to put that on my story. So no, it's good. It's good to see some kind of genuine people still in this industry.
It's a tough balance because, it costs a lot of money to run an account of this size. It costs a lot of money to run an account. You've got so many different people on the team, editors, videographers, people to help me with the science and backing and all this stuff. And I can understand how influencers can sell their soul. However, we've got such a strict rule at the Health Optimization Summit is every single product, every single brand gets approved by me. And you know this firsthand.
Yeah.
And if I wouldn't let my mum have it or me have it, it's not going to make it to the floor. And I wouldn't promote it on my Instagram either. The reality is I do have some sponsorships and partnerships. I do these days, where I have like a 3, 6 or 12 month plan to promote some of the brands, but it's always the angle that I want. And if, for instance, one brand came to me the other week and said, we want you to say that our product does this. I'm like, I don't believe it does. And it didn't do that for me. So I'm not going to talk about it. Sorry. So yeah, it is a tough balance, but yeah, I like to think I got it right. And it works for the long term because people trust me when I do say stuff. However, I shared out a story yesterday, which I know you saw because you did a story today about it as well, was the chemtrails.
Oh yeah.
And I had so many hate messages saying, oh, you've lost it now, you're a effing nutter and all this. Right, and then
that was weird though, wasn't it? I mean, I've not commented on chemtrails before, but I actually sent you the picture that I took, which is, this really strange cloud that I actually got the girls, my daughters, to come out and have a look at it. Sky was pink. It was really cool, but it was like this cloud was coming out from London. It was really strange. And so I took a picture of it. And then I started seeing your commenting about all these different things happening and altering the weather and all that sort of thing. So it's starting to sway me.
And I was like, just see the next story. Like one woman said, you're an absolute effing nut job, blah, 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 blah. And I'm unfollowing. And I just replied, said, first of all, see the next story. Because that's actually the official thing. But also how you treat others is how your inner world is. So I hope you're okay. Best wishes, Tim. And then she blocked me. But yeah, I got a lot of hate for that yesterday. A lot. Like must have been 60, 70 messages at least. I had a lot more people saying, oh, why are people so blind? Why don't they realize that this is true? So yeah.
How do you deal with that in terms of, you've got a lot of followers online. So people send you hate messages like you did yesterday. What's your response to it? Is it ignore? Is it angry? Is it?
I get about 300 to 350 million views a year right now. Like it's a lot of reach. When I first started, and I guess I was insecure and I didn't know who I was so much. If someone said something bad to me, I would be narky back. Like, oh, well, you're whatever. Now I lead with love. If, for instance, if you are rude to me, the common human thing to do is to be rude back. But you've determined how I behave, right? However you behave is however you behave. However I behave is how I choose to behave. I'm not going to get sucked into that. So I used to, when I was insecure, more insecure. And, when you get 100 people a day saying that you're a crackpot or you're crazy or whatever, when you're just trying to help the world actually be healthier and not go through the stuff you went through, is actually quite soul destroying. But you get to the point, I think, where I've worked on myself so much. I know who I am. I'm like, Like, I know who I am 100%. I know I'm doing good for the world. I'm trying to leave it in a better place than I found it, which most people don't actually have the mindset to do. And I believe we all have that responsibility. And I don't get sucked into it. One thing that really changed my life recently was that during my conference in Austin, it was actually a life-changing moment for me. During my conference in Austin, a certain competitor of ours sent their sales team to our event to pitch our vendors. Okay, no names mentioned. And my team rang me and said, such and such is here pitching to our vendors. What should we do? Should we kick them out? And I said, just wait 1 minute. I'm going to think about this. Because I didn't want to react. And I said to my friend Dom, who was just happened to be with at the time, and he gave me this nugget, which never ever leave me in my whole life. He goes, the other day I had a courier come to the house and Max, my 10-year-old son, came running up and said, Daddy, DHL's been rude to mummy. Come and tell him. Right? And he was like, okay, come on, this is how we deal with it. So he walked up, said, hi, what's up? He said, oh, I've got a package for you, sign for it. Okay, cool, have a good day. Max said, but you didn't tell him. It's like, what would Mufasa do? Like, how would a king behave? He wouldn't react. There's a little guy delivering a package, give him a break. He might have had a horrible day. Don't have to react. It's like, that's the lesson. And he said to me, what would Mufasa do? So anyway, in that moment, I was like, Mufasa, who the hell's that? And he goes, well, it's a lion king, it's a king. Like, okay, interesting. How would a king behave? And when you have a tribe of 4,000 people, both sides of the world, you kind of become a tribe leader. I kind of cringe saying that, but the reality of it is there's a lot of people. I have a responsibility to act like a king, not like a jester. And when someone is rude to me, I either don't need to react or I need to lead with love. Take that one step further before I leave this thought, because I don't want to hijack this podcast, but I think mindset is a massive piece in this whole thing. It's like, if you think about a chessboard, the king moves one piece at a time. He can't react in any way, shape or form by definition. The queen, however, within his kingdom, can go from edge to edge to edge to edge, react completely within his kingdom. And he builds the kingdom to protect her. And together they have every piece that works for their advantage. If someone is rude to him, do you think that he reacts? No. And this is an ancient game. It's very metaphorical. So when someone hates on me now, I just lead with love. And I try to show them how they could have been better without telling them to be better, such as yesterday. And for me, it's a big, big shift. And I think the final point on this is, I broke up with a girl however many years ago, and she sent me this really horrible message. And I went to write back and I showed it to my brother and said to him, what do you think? He goes, he didn't say, why do you care what she thinks about you? He said, why do you care that she doesn't know who you are? Right? That was another one of those things. It's just like, that hit me right here. It's like, yeah, you're right. She doesn't know who I am. I'm not even going to bother. Yeah. And that's the thing. These haters, these people that are in the medical world that say that I'm full of crap, whatever, they don't know who I am. I do. So it doesn't affect me. And I would say that was a massive shift for me, especially this year, really big shift. Yeah. So I felt like that question really deserved a deep answer.
Yeah. And just a little hack for myself, I've been the same. I've reacted badly in the past, and you think, to comments or to emails. I'm a hack for an email because it will come in and it will set the trigger, and then your little keyboard warrior back. I'll give myself an hour now. My rule is an hour. Doesn't matter how urgent the post is or whatever, or the email. Give myself an hour, and it gives you that thinking time to reply and to come back and to calm down and to exactly do what you.
That's one step towards it.
Yeah.
But the question is, why would you need to react? And you're pausing. It's great because it's an interrupt. It's great. But if you think, how would a king behave? And I hate to say it, it's a bit cringy, but at the same time, it's like, I realized I always looked for other mentors my whole life because my father wasn't really a role model. I always sought out role models. And I met Dom, who's a very good friend of mine. He's a super alpha, but in a good way, and a great father and an amazing surgeon and all these things. And I loved it. But now I have the king thing. How would a king behave? Because, let's be honest, it's ultimate non-reactiveness. Like the kingdom always comes first. And it's Joffrey versus Jon Stone. It's like the one that didn't really want to be the king. versus the evil ruler that wants to make everyone do what he wants them to do. One comes from weakness and one comes from strength.
No, it's good. Great answer. I want to talk about biohacking. I want to drill into some biohacking techniques, and I want to start by doing a bit of a quick fire.
Yep.
So 1 to 10, 1 being bad, 10 being good. I want to read these out and I want you to score them for me. Methylene blue.
8.
Ice baths.
For me, 1.
Coffee enemas.
Yeah, 8.
We'll drill into some of these afterwards, don't worry. Grounding.
10.
Controlled hypoxia during breath work.
9.
Hydrogen-infused water.
8.5.
HBOT. Hyperbaric oxygen chamber for anyone who hasn't.
7.5. And I want you to drill into why.
I've got that, don't worry. Alcohol.
Contextually, 10 or 1? Depends. Stick
in as a 5.
Let's go with the 2. And I'm happy to drill into that as well.
PEMF.
Minus 17. I would say it's probably a 7.
Cool. We'll talk about it, don't worry. Meditation.
10.
Microdosing psychedelics.
Microdosing, 0.
Ozempic.
Minus 2,050 kilos. Just 0.
No, I agree. So we'll talk about a few of those. We mentioned coffee enemas. I know Chris Gethin is quite vocal and visual on his stories at times doing his coffee enemas. Not specifically about them, but probably what's your most unusual biohack that you think you've done? If it's not a coffee enema.
No, it's not. It's probably the most unusual, but probably one of the best. I went to Florida, to Sarasota, to Dr. John Lawrence's clinic because I'd had prostatitis for many years and the doctors told me I couldn't fix it. He has a ProstaBlue procedure in his longevity clinic, which is a needle goes into your prostate via your bladder while you're awake.
I heard you talking about this one before. Yeah.
And you have antibiotics, methylene blue, ozone, go injected directly into the prostate. And he said to me, what painkillers do you want? And Ben Greenfield, when he did it, had laughing gas and, it's fine. I was like, I'm a fan of ketamine. Let's do some ketamine, please. So they gave me IV ketamine. I left the planet, saw the divine, really met with God. I was that high and off the planet. And I was like, and then I could hear a beep, 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 beep. And I was like, oh my goodness, I've gone too far this time. I'm on the resuscitation table. Like, I've gone too far. I've done it. Tim, you've done some crazy stuff, but this is high risk, high reward. And then I was like, beep, 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 beep. And then I opened my eyes and it was like, no, there was just a nurse with a clipboard. I was just high on ketamine. But that was quite an experience. But the thing is that I had it done twice and it cured the prostatitis. And I'd had it for probably 8 years or so. And the doctors just said, there's no way. And in fact, I told my urologist about it. I was like, really? What is this? Because I've got it and I wouldn't mind trying that too. So, they are open when it suits them.
Or the procedure?
I avoid ketamine these days.
Methylene blue we mentioned, and my first experience with methylene blue was actually in Austin at the Biohack Summit. I think one of your vendors had it. And one thing I wasn't expecting was that I was going to be peeing blue for the next 3 days. So that's a bit of a byproduct that comes from methylene blue. And I believe it's dye. Originally was dye for synthetic dyes. But
it was one of the first pharmaceuticals ever invented.
Okay.
Basically, when pharmaceuticals were invented to actually do stuff, not just change the formula so that they could patent it, like original stuff. Antifungal, antibacterial. When you have carbon monoxide poisoning and you get into accident emergency, every emergency care has methylene blue because it deals with carbon monoxide poisoning amazingly. It bypasses a whole load of processes and helps you use oxygen more efficiently. So I find that I can swim almost twice as far underwater when I have had methylene blue beforehand. However, And yes, it was a dye, or it is also used as a dye. Wasn't its original thing. It's if you put it into a fish tank, see what it does to the mold. Just see how amazing it is. So, it donates an electron to the electron transport chain, very detailed, for energy production. It supports energy production and ATP amazingly, but it bypasses a whole load of processes. There's some controversy around it where Paul Saladino says it's bullshit, and you shouldn't need it and no one needs it. But in fact, I find it to be very good. Even as I would say, pretty well optimized human, it's pretty good stuff. On the flight, when you're in a low oxygen environment for 10 hours, amazing, like major hack, because you'll increase your oxygen usage significantly in a lower environment, or if you're an underwater swimmer. So I love methylene blue. However, I do find that the better thing on a daily basis throughout the day is hydrogen water. Similar-ish, there's a lot of overlap between what they both do, right?
Yeah.
Hydrogen water, however, spring water is more hydrogen rich, much more hydrogen rich, and much more alive and much more mineralized and everything. So there's tap water, which is dead. And you can test hydrogen water with a redox potentiometer, ORP, and it will show you how high in antioxidants hydrogen water is and how bad water is, tap water and bottled water is in terms of a pro-oxidant. And you can measure it. I like hydrogen water throughout the day. I've got it built into my tap at home, so I just drink it all the time or carry a bottle around. So I would say anyone that wants to have a go with methylene blue, great, it's good. It gives you a blue tongue and makes you stand out as a biohacker. However, hydrogen water is probably the win. And in fact, Gary Brecker sells a brand, H2 Tab.
Yeah, so I've actually just put a tab in my water before this.
Thanks for sharing, man.
Yeah, no, I literally had one less. Yeah, stick it in there before you saw.
Yeah, he's brought out a brand H2 Tab, which is fantastic as well. And rightly so. It's one of those things. People are like, well, you didn't usually have hydrogen that high in water. Yeah, I know you did actually. Stream water is actually much higher, much more antioxidant and better for you, which means that your cells take up the water better. So you are actually hydrating better by having hydrogen water, hydrogen-enriched water.
Do you think there's a best way to administer hydrogen water in terms of, like you said, you got it plumbed in? Is it the tablets that I've put in my water before we came here? That's a convenience thing, but is it better doing it one way or the other?
No, not really. I mean, I think you can release the hydrogen in the water by. They have metal plates. I think it's titanium metal plates in the bottle, or they use elemental magnesium in the capsule, in the tablet. Sorry, I don't think there's much of a difference between the two. I think the magnesium one might be a little bit on the plus side because we're all a bit deficient in magnesium. So I think it's actually good like that. But it's more about a convenience thing on your preference. I like carrying around a funky bottle from Echo Water, whatever the brand. Yeah, Echo. I think they look really good, and everyone, including airport security, always stops me and asks me what this bottle is with a battery on the bottom.
Yeah. HBOT, we mentioned that in the scoring, and I mentioned HBOT on this a few times before. I'm a big fan of HBOT. You actually gave it a 7.5, which I thought was a little bit lower than I was expecting to come from you. I know you used it in 2019 as part of your healing journey.
I had a hyperbaric clinic from 2015 through 2019, roughly. No, it's a 7.5 because you should be breathing properly.
Okay.
If you notice where you said about the hypoxic and in your breathing, I said 9. I think it was. Was it 9 I said?
Yeah.
Yeah. But hyperbaric oxygen therapy, I said 7.5. Why would that be? Because I'd much rather someone breathe properly and learn to deal with carbon dioxide better and able to hold their breath better.
Yeah.
And therefore more oxygenated, because actually, I learned this from Patrick McGowan, who runs Biohacker Method, Oxygen Advantage. And he teaches practitioners this. He's the science-based approach to breath work, not breathe in, breathe out, and all this funky stuff that's really popular. It's the scientific approach to oxygenation. And when you understand how oxygen and carbon dioxide work in tandem, people are over-breathing and under-oxygenated. So I'll tell you why this is so important, okay? If you can hold your breath and deal with the carbon dioxide as the carbon dioxide increases in your blood, it forces oxygen into the cell, ironically, right? So if you can't hold your breath and you're breathing lots of air, you're not dealing with the carbon dioxide because you can't hold your breath properly, which means you're not oxygenated as much. which is why when you breathe slower and lower, opposed to through your mouth, which is measured via your sinuses, you're increasing nitric oxide production and you're breathing more measured, meaning you're more oxygenated by breathing less because you are dealing with your carbon dioxide better. Okay. Breathwork and hypoxic training are amazing for this. And I did my VO2 max and I was at a 21 pro athlete level because I had been doing breathing through my nose and not my mouth for 2 years at full pelt, 15 minutes. And I was just like, it was like the Matrix. I was like, I couldn't even run for 30 seconds without breathing through my mouth 2 years before. Hyperbaric is fantastic to fill a deficiency. You know, like vitamin C, you can eat foods that are rich in vitamin C or you can take a tablet. You know, which one comes first? Which one's more important? Contextually. But I would say ongoing basis of always breathing properly will get you far further than using hyperbaric. However, it's great if you've got a diabetic foot wound, for instance, or if you're chronically fatigued and you just need support. However, everyone that's prescribing hyperbaric should be telling them to learn to breathe properly beforehand. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in that problem. And that's why it was a 7.5.
So someone's looking at spending £100,000 on a hyperbaric chamber and they don't do breath work. That's the starter. Is that what you're saying?
Humans are so smart, we're stupid.
Yeah.
The thing is, I like hyperbaric chamber as a bonus, but the thing is you can't really over-oxygenate the body. If you're breathing properly, you don't really need to. However, we do have busy lifestyles. You know, like it is like saying, well, you know, you don't need filtered tap water. I choose to live in London. It could be like, actually, I run a busy life and I sit at a desk all day and I don't actually practice breath work. Okay, get a hyperbaric is a good shortcut. But really, that's not the longevity approach.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, fundamentals of health, as Dr. Ted Akikoso says, eat well, sleep well, hydrate well, sun well, ground well, move well, love well, fuck well. You know, these are all the basic fundamentals that we should nail before using any of these technologies and stuff. And I think it's the same for PEMF. I love PEMF. If you need it, it fills a deficiency. But if you're not getting your shoes off and standing in the grass, then you're kind of missing the point.
Yeah, that's a good point we'll come to. I want to take a deep dive into the Health Optimisation Summit in a minute because that's something that I really want to talk about. But let's talk about the PEMF. When was your first experience of PEMF therapy? And I know you've experienced like the lower intensities. You've had a Accelerate home. You use it at Remedy Clinic. What about the higher intensity stuff? So when was your first experience of PEMF therapy?
First experience of PEMF was at the Bulletproof Labs in Santa Monica back in 2016 or 17, which was interesting because it was very high intensity. And I think that gives it the fun factor. Yeah. Because you feel a stimulus, so therefore you think it's working more. So, placebo maybe adds to the benefit, whatever. And I liked the idea that it could make my muscles jump, but that doesn't mean that it works more. And then a friend of mine, Joe Cohen, Mr. Biohacker on Instagram, who runs Self-Decode, he introduced me, I think it's Bob Dennis, who was the guy that invented PEMF originally.
Yeah.
And I got on a call with him and I was like, I really want to understand this technology more. And he told me, he's like, actually, the high intensity isn't needed. He goes, when we developed it for NASA way back when to, help the deficiencies that the astronauts were going through, blah, 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 we realized that it didn't need to be that high intensity. And he had gone off and developed his own little device. He called it something completely different from PEMF.
ICES, that one.
Yeah, ICES, yeah.
Yeah.
Not ISIS. ISIS.
Yeah, I struggle to say it too.
And he said it's very low. You don't feel anything from it. And he said, and this works a lot better. And here's how you do it. I'll send you one. So he sent me one. So I've heard it from the guy himself that invented this stuff. Yeah. That it's mainly marketing hype and it's older technology. But it's like when I use the human regenerator bed. Okay, I love this device. It's very good, it's very expensive, but it's really powerful. When you're lying in it, you don't know anything's happening. And you have to go on blind faith that something's happening. Yeah. Except for a little smell of ozone. If they added something to the experience to make you go, there's like a beam of light around me or something while I'm on it, the mind goes, I'm enjoying this more. Yeah. Like more senses used. So I think that's the only reason why the higher intensity ones actually like have become so popular. And then the devices such as yours, yours is the one that I use. It's on the side of my sofa. And you kindly sent me one when I was going through my healing for my surgery, and I was using it on my face like this every day. I mean, if you're putting it on your face and it was a high intensity one, that'd be pretty grim. So
it's a good point to make, because, you know, we get the low intensity, the high intensity, and actually at the Health Optimisation Summit in a few days from when this episode goes out, we're launching under the Celebrate brand a higher intensity PEMF device. And I completely share the story with you that the lower intensity stuff, cheaper, can't feel it, has the same therapeutic benefit as the higher intensity stuff. However, as you say, it gives you that extra element of something, the experience, and the professional settings especially want to have a high intensity device.
But the thing is, it's a heuristic. The more things that can tell us that something's working, if you're just holding something to it and it's not even doing anything, imagine it didn't even have a screen on it or any light. Is it even on? You want to have the opposite of that. I want to know it's working, and making your muscles jump lets you know it's working, that it's actually doing something. So I think that user experience is important. I mean, you buy an Apple phone or a laptop, look at the user experience the moment you get the package. So wrapped in this thing, you've got this thing that slides off, and the experience of unboxing it, they want you to keep this box. And they've just made even the unboxing experience ridiculous. But then when you buy a device and it's just like, hope it's working. You know, if you can combat that, it makes people use it more, and you help more people from doing so. You know, and the big pharma do this. Big pharma do this, right? If you buy an anodin, or if you buy any drug, you'll see it's half white, half red, or has a breakdown in the middle. Why? Because we perceive red as being more powerful. Why does the anodin have a break mark down the middle? Because it makes you think it's twice as strong. Placebo with a medication. So they're adding to the user experience to make people think that it works better. Exactly the same with PEMF.
Yeah. And one of the reasons why we introduced red light therapy, because we've been pioneers in PEMF for like 15 years now. Red light therapy, we only introduced 1-2 years ago, because we were seeing that people were stacking PEMF with red light because they want that experience. They want the red light. They want to strip down. They want to feel the warmth, all this sort of thing. So it's like, okay, right, let's stack the two together and let's go with that. The other side of the coin on the high intensity stuff, unfortunately, you can't stack with that with anything, because you put it near a red light, you know, it's like an EMP. So it's so powerful that it can actually damage the other equipment. So we've got to be careful with the two. How do you think it compares? How do you think PEMF compares with other stuff, like other biohacks like hyperbaric, red light, ice baths? Because it's obviously, in terms of like easier to use it, that sort of thing.
It doesn't compare. None of them compare. Why do you need PEMF? That would be the question. I don't think it's a linear answer. I think if someone has repairing bones, I think obviously the studies behind how it helps repair bones is just phenomenal, really phenomenal. In fact, I remember seeing a study done where they cut out a piece of a chicken's bone, square area, and then helped it heal with PEMF, showing how ridiculously fast it healed because of the electrical charge for the bones to regrow. So it really depends on what you need it for. If you just want to feel better, probably just get your shoes off and stand in the garden. If you don't have a garden, you can use a PEMF device. But really, if you need to heal, it's fantastic. Like literally hands down one of the best things you can do. Whereas hyperbaric, also healing, but on a different level, in a different way. And again, if you're using PEMF and hyperbaric to speed up healing and red light and peptides, like you want to throw everything that make your body do what it's supposed to do very quickly. I had a surgery back in 2017 that nearly stopped me going to the Bulletproof conference. So nearly all of this stuff didn't happen. I had a surgery, and he said it would take 3 months to heal. And it was cut open, and it was left open as a wound, exposing the muscle, which I'd have to have it dressed every day and cleaned and packed every day until it was healing from the inside out. It healed in 3 weeks. Peptides, actually human growth hormones, red light therapy, PEMF, every day, and hyperbaric every day. 3 weeks I was done. And then I jumped on a plane to LA. And then that's when I started the summit. So stacking them is amazing. PEMF is fantastic, but it can't be compared to the other stuff.
And we're seeing a lot more brands entering the space now, especially in the summits, all that sort of thing. We're seeing more and more people entering the PEMF space. Do you think that's because it's becoming more of a buzzword. People are starting to understand it more. Part of my problem in my last 15 years has been educating people on PEMF, and it's been an uphill struggle. I genuinely think a lot of it's down to the fact it's not very Instagrammable, because people don't get naked on it. They don't jump into an ice bath, so it's like sitting down watching Love Island isn't that Instagrammable. But can you see that changing? Can you see PEMF becoming more of a household thing?
It works. And in fact, Bob Dennis said this to me himself, and I still say it today. It's quite funny. He said, Tim, I've never done any marketing. I've never done anything at all, and yet these babies sell.
Yeah.
And I said, well, if it was a ball bearing, you'd have to push it. If it's a life-saving device, you wouldn't. And I think there's a lot of truth in that for them being used more. However, it doesn't matter if it's Instagram worthy or not. It's if it works.
Yeah.
So it's about targeting the right people and letting people understand how well it actually works. Because it's usually the people that are just sharing it on Instagram. It's just for the hype or for how things look, not for the actual efficacy. Like, how many people I know actually know what methylene blue does, but they walk around with a blue tongue?
Yeah.
They don't care. They just want to stand out. They just want to be different. They just want to be special. They just want to be a little bit stand out. Like people that wear blue blocking glasses during the day do nothing at all.
Yeah.
In fact, quite the opposite. And yet they do it because they feel special. That's the thing. So it doesn't matter if Instagram people are using it or not. It's whether or not the people that need it are using it or not. And that's the education piece. I had the same with hyperbaric when I opened my clinic. No one else had a hyperbaric clinic in London at the time. No one. And I had a marketing agency, but I opened on the first day and I was like, right, what now? No one here. Like, okay, I need to make this work. So it's like, how can I educate people on how amazing hyperbaric therapy is so we can get the clinic up and running? We had 2 chambers running, 16 to 18 hours a day within 3 months because people understood what was in it for them. So I would say the same with you, with my marketing mind. I figure out who needs it.
Yeah.
That's the whole demographic. I mean, luckily for you, ChatGPT, now you can say who's my demographic for people that should new PEMF and who would these personas be, and put them together for me so I can market to them.
No, it's a great answer, because for us it's all about traction, education, but what we're seeing now is that 80% of our sales are actually coming through word of mouth. So like you say, it works. They tell their friends, they move it on, it builds. Let's talk about the Health Optimisation Summit, because I know that's something that is like your baby at the moment. What was the inspiration behind the summit originally? And do you think it has evolved to this year's summit from, was it 2019 you started it?
Yeah, 2019. Yeah, 2019 was just a little idea, 1,000 people. Now this year it's 4,250. We doubled during COVID because all my competitors focused on doing digital products, and we just doubled down and kept on building the best event we can ever build. We've now become number 1 in the space, which is very, very flattering to hear consistently. Please repeat the question.
So what was the inspiration originally? What was your first inspiration? Why did you set up the summit in 2019? And has it evolved? Because we follow you around at the summit. We love the summit. It is the best. The people that attend are amazing. The speakers are amazing. The guy that organizes it, he's okay, but it's a really good summit, and we're quite loyal. We've been there most years. We followed you now to Austin. You've grown to the US, so it's evolving. You can see it's evolving. It's turning into this machine. But how did it start? I
mean, I did the meetup in 2017 in London. In the Shard was the first one because my girlfriend at the time worked in an agency there. 50 people for the first meetup. So I knew there was something in it. And then I just did a meetup every 6 to 8 weeks. And it grew very quickly. But when I changed it from Biohacker London to Health Optimization and Biohacker Meetup, then it grew to thousands very quickly. I had this whole database of people on meetup.com that wanted to come and hang out. And I started it, to be completely honest, just as I was coming out of a breakup. And I was like, actually, I want to meet myself a healthy woman. I just want to, and I want a social circle. And I love people in general. That was 50 people. And then after about a year or so, I met a few people along the way, and they were like, well, why don't you do a bigger version? The summit. I was like, yeah, why not? I mean, if I knew then what I knew now, I probably wouldn't have done it, because it's just it's absolutely a monster to run. Like, For instance, which speakers, how can you convince the speakers to speak? Because we don't pay speaker fees. When do they arrive into town? What's the hotel look like? Is it to good enough standard? Like what time, what stage, all this, like the level of detail is just insane. But it's evolved from being a small little meetup to an event with 4,250 people. It's become such a monster, I would say, that the level of speakers we have is just unreal. And every year I pinch myself to think these people I've been following for years or known for years are all on my stage in London. The biggest thing I've learned from the whole journey with the summit and how it's evolved is actually the community aspect. Because the line that I started saying recently was, it's not what's in your fridge, it's who you're with when you shop and eat. Because, you know, there's a quote I heard about a year ago. It was like, if you hang around with 6 billionaires, you'll be the 7th or whatever. And 5 billionaires, you'll be the 6th. If you hang around with 6 smokers, you know, 5 smokers, you'll be the 6th. It's so true. Like hanging around, us going out for dinner or whatever, for instance, and I might say a couple of words that's not in your diction. You might start using those words. That's how easily influenced we are as humans. This is why the media works, for instance, you know. So our social circle is so important. And when you have one toxic person in your circle, the amount of energy that goes into this person and how destructive it is, it's almost like the banana.
Say the rotten banana.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's so like that. So now we have a zero tolerance policy in our company. If anyone is toxic or constantly causing problems like that, then they're gone. We've just got a team of amazing people. I couldn't do it without the team who are doing the majority of the work. I would say I'm more of the strategy side of things these days. But yeah, the community is the biggest thing. And it's a rooms full of 4,000 people just like us who are healthy, happy, looking for things like, it's not just about the health. It's also a hobby. It's, you know, we have sex as humans to reproduce, but we also have sex to have fun. And I think health is the same, because when you start feeling really good, you're like, this is good stuff. It's like in the gym when you start getting gains. I feel good from it. And it's the same with the community. And I think it's now become more and more community led because we help shape each other. And I think if there's a realization I had from Austin event was that you don't really remember most of the products. You might buy a few things. You don't remember most of the products. You don't remember most of the talks, but you do remember the people you met or friends you've made. Like, and because I heard it thousands of times, people are like, oh, that's where I met such and such, and we're sitting outside on the grass, and no. So it's all about the people. Yeah. So the natural evolution now is obviously doing some retreats where, you know, you're on a beach hanging out with those people and learning some cool things from keynotes and stuff, which we'll be announcing at the summit.
That would be cool.
So yeah, it's all about the community and the people around you. And you know, when you hang out with good people, how you up your game, if you're ready to up your game, or how you're dragged down by people if you're ready to be dragged down.
Do you think that community has changed over the years? So, you know, like, were these diehard biohackers to start with, or just clinic owners, that sort of thing? Like, for our listeners, like, who they might not know whether they're appropriate for the show. Who is it that goes to the Health Optimisation Summit?
It's a really good question, actually. I would say the tribe hasn't changed. It's just got bigger. And I think when people hear about it, it's just people that just get you. If you're wearing blue blocking glasses, people go, oh, what's that? They know there must be some benefit in it. Or why have you got a blue tongue? It's not like people like pulling funny faces. It's just more people with a similar mindset. And I think COVID did us a massive favor.
I was going to talk about COVID because you set this up in 2019. And, you know, usually hospitality or events, meetups, they didn't do too well in 2020. So how did you navigate that? And why, like you say, was it a good thing?
My very dear friend and our COO, Isabel, one of my most favorite humans on the planet of all time. Her and I have such a growth mindset friendship, like siblings from day one. We've never had a single argument, never a bad, like we're always just so in growth together. And I love this because when COVID happened, it was like, oh shit, we're going to have to delay it. And I was like, okay, this is the strategy. The problem is we can't do it. What's the solution? Okay, we're going to continue building this as if nothing's changed until this date. And if COVID is still happening at this date, then we're going to delay it by 6 months. But we're not going to get distracted. We're going to keep on building. I read one psychological study back in 2010 about recessions. Companies that cut their marketing spend through recessions shrunk and came out the other side smaller. But the 1 in 100 brands that continued to market, in fact, doubled down on their market, came out significantly bigger. This one paper. So I said to her, this is the paper I read. This is what we're going to do. We're going to double down on it. And I'm going to sell. I actually did the selling through that. We didn't have a salesperson. I'm going to continue to sell the booth space. I'm going to continue to test out the brands. And I'm going to, actually, I started doing my Instagram at that point. And we just built. And the mindset has always been, I don't care what anyone else is doing. I am building the best damn event I can possibly build with everything that we've got. And COVID just got in the way. And in fact, it did us a favor because we doubled in size. We had 2.5 years to sell a 1-year event, which meant we sold a lot more. There was a massive hype for coming back for it. The community were dying just to hang out again. So for us, it was perfect. The only scary thing through the whole thing was I was funding keeping the company alive. and it was at the rate of about 20 grand a month. And it was because it's pretty much like I was going to say goodbye to my pension fund. So it was at a point where I was like, well, actually, do I pull the plug? But no, faith was, this is going to come off at some point.
Yeah. So, big thing about the summit is changing the mindset on biohacking, functional medicine, health optimization, as you mentioned. What a big part of that is the speakers, the people you invite to stand on your stage and share that vision. So how do you select those speakers? Is there a methodology, a Tim's kind of protocol, or?
Yeah.
Giving away all your secrets now.
No, it's a very good question. I only invite speakers I think that have absolute integrity. Like Gary Brecker, like a lot of people say that don't know him, people say stuff about him. It's like, if you knew Gary and how integral he was, you'd love him too. He's a good human. He's a really good human. So maybe the ultimate human. But for instance, someone with high integrity that knows their stuff. I mean, I like to think I know the detail, but he knows the detail like far deeper. Same with Ben Greenfield, integral, amazing human. People think he's a bit crazy from the outside sometimes because of the stuff that he does, but he's a great human. The combination of someone knowing their stuff better than anyone else is the first marker. Integral has to, because we just don't want those drama queens or divas that, just cause problems. We're building a big event, and the ones that cause us problems, we just don't work with, like the ones that are always delaying or don't answer or this, that, the other. We just don't deal with that. But we have got to the point of luxury where we've become such a big brand now that people really want to be on our stage. Whereas in year 1 and 2, we had to beg people to be on our stage.
Yeah.
So, and then based on our programming, what topics do we want to cover? And then their reach. So if they are, for instance, if there's an up and coming speaker that no one knows about, but they've got an amazing topic that fits in with our agenda well, then I would invite them. However, we get about 400 applications a year, 400, and it's nuts. And everyone just casually throws out, oh yeah, I'd love to speak, or oh, I'll speak, as in like they're doing me a favor. But I don't think they realize that actually so many people want to speak, and it's one of the most valuable things you can do is actually speak on the stage. And I would say for my career progression, I didn't do it strategically, but I've spoken on now my main stage. This will be my 6th time on one of the biggest stages in the space. And I've been invited to many of the big stages on the other events as well.
Yeah.
Because once you're on the big stage, people notice and you get invited into all sorts of places and things because you're a keynote speaker. And so I would say it's such a valued prize to be on a stage next to the amazing people like Gary and Ben and, Dr. Von der Wright and, all Marissa Peer and things like that people notice. So it's a very complex, I would say, set of decisions.
Yeah, that goes into it.
And in fact, There's only one person that's spoken on the stage every year except for 2019, and that's Dr. Dom. That's it.
Yeah.
There's only one person that's done that.
And he's a very good personal connection to you, isn't he?
He's my best friend, yeah. But his
and
message...
again, it shows, the genuine side of Tim.
No. He is my best friend, and I don't want it to be a big boys club, but at the same time, his mission, I promised when we met that we would support each other's missions, and he has helped me with mine so much more than I can ever say. But at the same time, his topic of health starts in the mouth because it leads to the gut, and how, dentists fix bites and don't know how to fix health. I think if every dentist learned what he was doing, I think the world would be much, much healthier place, gut and mouth wise, and a lot of chronic issues wouldn't be a problem. Yeah. So I support that every year.
As with the PEMF space, it's getting quite crowded. So is the summit space. What, very simple summary. You've mentioned some of the, key points anyway, but what makes the Health Optimisation Summit better than these other ones that are popping out of the woodwork?
They're all amazing in their own right. I don't care what they're doing. I am literally building the best event I can ever build. Like, you can have the tallest tower in town, or you can have the second tallest tower in town, or you can knock everyone else's down and have the tallest tower in town. I just like to build the best I can. That's it. I would say the things that stand out for us are the community, because there's just so many amazing people in the brands that I personally select, every single one of them. It's not just about money. Money is a factor because it's a very expensive machine to run. And it's a very high risk business. But also the speakers, like, I spend a lot of my year getting to know, hanging out with, inviting speakers to speak on our stage so that they can teach and support them and they support us. I would say that our lineup is probably one of the best that's the world's ever seen. And I would say that I'm the founder, but I hear this frequently, whether or not I'm biased because people are telling me what I want to hear. But I would say that the lineup is just ridiculously good. The brands are vetted by me, not just some salesperson just trying to fill their quota. For the brands that we say no more than we do yes, to be honest, significantly more. There are other events popping up and I support them. I'm really happy if another event pops up. If it's done king-like and we all like the rising tide opposed to knocking each other down, then I support 100%. But we've become the biggest, and biggest doesn't mean the best, and it doesn't mean it's going to stay there forever. It does mean that you need to continue to innovate and make it the best, just like you have with your product. Make it that little bit better user experience. We're optimizers. We do this every year and we improve on it every year. And this year is going to be the next level. Next year, we've added even more, including retreats and some other sexy things going on. This year, we've actually got a Saturday night party, which we've never properly done before, which is going to be really good. Yeah.
So, and anyone listening to the podcast, Tim's actually allowed me space on one of the stages, one of the smaller stages at the moment, but watch this space. I'll be working up to keynote in no time. You mentioned other things you're doing. I've got a note here for the Health Optimisation Digital Program. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really talk about it, to be honest. I mean, I created it back during COVID, actually. It's just the fundamentals of health. It's like where you should start in your biohacking journey. Eat well, sleep well, hydrate well, sun well, ground well, move well. All of these things in one place, basically, with a rundown from it. So yeah, that still sells, but I don't really talk about it. Everyone seems to have a course these days.
And I love the idea of retreats because we've been on a retreat together before. We've met in Ibiza. Actually, we spend less time together in London than we do when we've met in Miami. And so the idea of retreat sounds pretty good. And let me know when that's up, because
Corfu,
I'll probably be one of your first.
Through 27th of April 2026, Corfu.
Very close to the wife's birthday, but I'll have to swing that one.
I mean, it could be the birthday treat. 100 VV VIPs with 6 or 7 keynote speakers, breathwork, mountain hikes, local food, farm to table food, olive grove finding, all the technologies, the ice baths, the saunas, the lot. I mean, it's basically for 100 people only. So yeah, it's
so this is a much smaller, intimate setting for a real deep dive into it.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, I want to start wrapping us up and start talking about, the conversation as a whole. I've got one more little quick fire for you. Okay, so this is more of a choice rather than or a question, rather than a score. So, carnivore or vegan? Easy choice.
Give me a steak.
Ice bath or sauna?
Sauna.
Immediately after waking up, coffee or cold plunge?
Neither. No.
One song that gives you goosebumps?
I want to look this name up and you can cut this little bit out. I'm going to tell you, it's bloody amazing. I'm telling you, hold on one song. It's called Space by French Fuse.
Yeah.
And an insane song.
Okay, I'll look that one up. Get that on the train home. Worst gym fail if you've had one?
No. None.
One supplement for the rest of your life?
Actually, ask me that one again, please. Ask me that one again.
Worst gym fail?
I was doing skull crusher on the cables the other day and I put the weights up. My muscles have got stronger than my posture had. So I went to pull it forward and it pulled me back. Anyway, yeah, that's really bad.
One supplement for the rest of your life?
Trimethylglycine. One
thing you always travel with?
Hydrogen water and methylene blue.
Oh, that was two. Or would you put the methylene blue in the hydrogen water? Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Both.
Where is your phone at night?
In an LV charger, which is EMF protected charger.
Yeah. In the bedroom or?
It's in the bedroom, yeah, but it's EMF protected. So.
Protected. Who inspires you the most in the biohacking space right now? And that's your final question on the quickfire. We'll keep this long pause in. It creates tension.
I would say Gary Brecker.
We'll elaborate or we're going to stick with that?
He is just so integral. He's had my back. He really is just so full of energy and he wants to help change the world. He has a photographic memory. I've seen firsthand his integrity and he is, I often text him and just say, dude, you've broken the matrix. You know, the people that he has got to in terms of like helping with their health. And he's just literally, I think Bryan Johnson has done it through extremism stuff. Gary has been the more common sense approach. And I'm very proud to say I know Gary.
And that's actually one person I was going to bring up as well was Bryan Johnson, because we went to an event where we actually got lucky enough to meet him in person. He does overcomplicate biohacking slightly.
He doesn't understand health, in my opinion, and I'm going to tell it. I'm going to say it. I'm going to do it. So, you know, if you don't have healthy teeth, putting veneers on or whatever doesn't mean you have healthy teeth. Tick, fast-tracked. If you say you have good thyroid hormones, but you take thyroid meds, doesn't mean you have a good thyroid. You're not the healthiest human in the world. Just because you have more nighttime boners than anyone else in your age doesn't mean you've got better hormonal health if you're taking Cialis every night. It's like having a car and putting the speedometer to 100 mile an hour and saying it's going 100 mile an hour. Dude, it's not. Figure health out. You're trusting people or talking about stuff and being a marketer opposed to actually doing what matters. And so anyone, I'm sorry, with very rare exception, veganism does not help someone's health. It may for a while it clear out all the crap from the crappy foods that they're eating. Long term, there's very small percentage of people that can be super healthy on it. And the amount of supplements he has to take on a daily basis. And when I see any influencer, biohacker, with a mouthful of supplements promoting it like they're a pro, it tells me they're a beginner. Because we just need 1 degree shifts in these things to be on point. We don't need to be throwing all this stuff into stress the liver, overcomplicating stuff. So, you know, I think Bryan means well. And I think there's a little boy in there that needs saving somewhere. And he's enjoying the fame, even though he acts like he doesn't enjoy the fame. But he is doing good for the space by getting a lot of awareness of this stuff. But it is the extreme edge, really extreme edge. So I don't think he understands health is the true answer.
Do you have an advice on people to not overcomplicate it like he does? In terms of
easy. Like I said before, eat well, sleep well, hydrate well, sun well, ground well, move well, love well. I mean, it's really very basic.
Yeah.
And any biohack is pretty much mimicking nature in an unnatural world.
And is that the same advice you'd give people to them starting on their biohacking journey? Because that was one of kind of wrapping up questions was, if somebody comes to you and says, all right, Tim, I want to be a health optimizer, I want to be a biohacker, where do I start?
I'm not going to say the list again. I would say if there's one hack, and because I've said that list several times now, and you can put a link in the show notes to the Instagram post for it. But I would say if you're underslept, you know it. Most of us are chronically underslept and we don't realize it. And when you realize that, I heard JJ Virgin say this the other week and I love it. You don't build muscles in the gym. You damage them in the gym. You build muscles when you sleep. You use the energy you have collected during the day to repair your body at night. So if you're going to bed much after sunset with blue light in your face, stimulating all your neurotransmitters and stopping you secreting your sleep hormone, and then you wake with an alarm clock shortening it again, you're missing probably 15 to 20% at minimum of your repair time. You are never going to be optimal. And people think, oh, I've got to go to bed because I'm tired. Shouldn't be going to bed because I'm tired. It should be going to bed because you know you need to repair. So the biggest longevity hack is to sleep properly and to respect the time when you go to sleep and the amount of time until you wake up, and not waking with an alarm clock or going to bed earlier so you don't need an alarm clock.
Yeah.
That's, if there's one thing that I'm super strict with, it's that. Because I know that all the other functions in the body work better.
Yeah. And it's one of the reasons why I'm wearing my Whoop at the moment. I don't wear it 365 days a year. What I tend to do, because I don't like the EMFs to come from it, all that sort of thing, but tend to stick it on for a month every 6 months because it reminds me how to sleep properly. What happens when you drink alcohol the next day? A few little things that I do need reminding on, through this space. And I think, like you say, sleep is so important. And actually, if my Whoop just tells me you didn't get much sleep last night, you need to get to bed earlier tonight, and you don't want to get up before 7:30, it just gives me that little putting my habits back into
hold you accountable.
Touch.
Yeah, this is what a good social network or your people would do as well. I mean, device is good for that. I would recommend changing out to the Gabbit ring, GABIT, good habits, because you don't need to put it on airplane mode. It automatically disconnects and doesn't ping.
That's cool. That's good advice. Yeah, that's one of the only reasons why I don't wear this every year.
I really don't like Whoop. I really don't like Whoop, actually. I don't like 8 Sleep either, actually. Right. They offered me one last week and I said, sorry, the EMFs are too high.
Yeah. In PEMF, that's what we're all about. It's all low harmonizing, same as the Earth's natural frequencies, all that sort of thing. So again, I'm shooting myself in the foot when I go to bed with the Whoop on. That's why I don't like to do it 365 days a year. And actually, I think it negatively impacts my health, my sleep,
it does,
having it on my wrist, and especially when you're sleeping, with your hand up. So that's a good advice. I'm going to change out to that ring. This.
Actually, the founder is coming to the summit, and they're not exhibiting or anything. I met the guy at Bryan Johnson's event in Stockholm a few months ago. Great guy.
Okay, we'll send him over to our booth. Last question, really. Like, where do you see the biohacking health optimization industry in 5-10 years? Like, what are you excited about? Is there anything that you kind of think is going to be a big game changer?
No, I don't see anything that's going to be a big game changer, really. I think we're just becoming more aware of what we need to operate properly. More and more people are becoming aware of what they missed out during COVID. And I hate to mention COVID again, but the point is it made people realize it's like, if something is always just okay, like a marriage or your car or your food, it's just okay, you don't step up because you don't think it's a major problem. Only when shit hits the fan, when you're like, oh, I'm going to have to buy a new car, or, oh, I think we need counseling or something, whatever it may be. The phoenix rising from the ashes is a very well-known thing for a reason. Because if it's always just okay, we don't act on anything. We prioritize things that are more urgent.
Yeah.
Now with COVID, people realize it's pretty bad. They're in a bad state. Then new people died and it could happen again. So a lot of it's fear-based. But the thing is, gone wider. Now we're in the longevity goal rush because of the Maha movement and RFK rolling out all of these things in the US and all the problems with the vaccines and everything. People are like, ooh, I do need to think about this a little bit more. So it's helped us. And Big Pharma didn't account for that. They're going for their short-term profits, but really they've lost a big part of the long-term game as a result. So I think there's no new technology that's going to come out that's really going to blow me away. There's not really. I mean, we've thought of most things, really, I would say for now anyway.
Yeah.
An area of advancement I do like right now is stem cells because we've actually got a talk at the summit that's going to blow the lid off of it. Democratizing stem cells so they're readily available everywhere. And Dr. Toby is going to be speaking about it at the summit.
Right.
So yeah, that's probably the most interesting thing I know of right now, and probably the most interesting thing I've heard of since I've been in this space.
Yeah.
So that's why I invited him to speak.
Good. Any last minute teasers for the Health Optimisation Summit this year?
Come and meet your heroes. Come and meet new friends. Come and enjoy some of the good technologies, the supplements, the foods, the party vibe. Just like, you know, it's pretty good investment. And I'm like, I know the tickets cost generally a lot of money. When you compare it to most events, it's actually a pretty good price. And it costs us a ridiculous amount of money to put these events on. But the amount of value you get for it is ridiculous. You've got so many big names all in one place, and the vibe is just fantastic. In fact, when we did Austin, we didn't expect to hit it so hard. People were just saying the vibe was completely different to all of the other events they went to. That's our tribe.
Yeah.
And I think we all just want to be healthier, happier, be around amazing people. So come and enjoy the show. I don't need to sell it. But you'll miss out if you don't come. Click the link in my bio, 10% off. No, but jokes aside, it's a really good event. And I remember when I was just an attendee of other events, I could not wait for that time to come around every year. Yeah. And it was actually like significantly, it's probably double the price of the events that I would go to at least. And we've brought it down consistently year on year to help it become more accessible to people, actually. Some people say, well, why can't you just do it for free? It's like, you do realize how many million it costs to put this event on. And, you know, it's really quite nuts. So yeah, just come and enjoy the show. If not, you'll see it on Instagram and you'll be like, oh, I want to go next year. Why didn't I go this year?
And just for our listeners to be clear, so Health Optimisation Summit that we've got in a few days' time is in London. And then there is another event in America, which was in Austin last year. Can you tell us where it is this year?
No.
Not yet?
No. But London, 13th and 14th September, Angel Islington, hosummit.com/UK is the link. I'm not opening my mouth about US yet.
But it's in April. Is that correct, or May?
What?
We don't know yet.
No, I'm not.
Still don't know.
No, that's on major. I'm not saying a word about this one, man. But the retreat is in April. The retreat is 24th through 27th of April.
So that's another thing to look forward to.
In Corfu.
Tim,
will be the square.
Where can our listeners find you if they want to find you, your content, or if they want to know more about the Health Optimisation Summit?
So hosummit.com/UK is the Health Optimisation Summit. I'm Tim Biohacker on Instagram and social medias, etc., etc. Yeah, that's about it.
Stuff. Thank you for the conversation today, Tim. It's been pretty educational.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And I think probably one of our longest ones. So thanks for having us.
Wow. Crazy. Yeah, time flies.
Yeah.